Discover the incredible heartwarming moment a young girl woke a billionaire from 2-year coma. In the quaint town of Maplewood, where time seemed to stand still, life often sparkled through the eyes of its youngest residents. But for 10-year-old Lily, the sparkle had dimmed recently. With her father, a proud veteran, losing his job to the ruthless hands of company downsizing and her mother working double shifts, Lily's heart felt heavier than ever. Yet, in her own way, she was determined to make a difference. One Saturday, during a bustling community service event at the local park, whispers erupted like popcorn in a hot skillet. The townsfolk couldn't stop talking about Mr. Thompson, the elusive billionaire who had fallen into a deep coma 2 years prior. To them, he was a distant figure, a fading image from glossy magazines celebrating prosperity. But for Lily, he represented the loneliness lurking behind grand achievements. Her heart ached for him, so much power, yet so alone. Compelled by her soft heart, she made a decision. Armed with colorful drawings and her favorite storybooks, she resolved to visit the hospital where Mr. Thompson was hidden away. After enduring jeers from friends who called her attempts futile, she brushed off the doubt, fueled by the hope that her stories could brighten a fragmented world. Week after week, she entered the sterile room, the faint beeping of machines drowning out the noise of what her friends said. Once upon a time, she began, her voice soft yet firm, filling the room with the joy of her imagination. A little girl found a magical garden as she read aloud, the harshness of the outside world faded, and she pictured vibrant adventures swirling around Mr. Thompson, draping him in warmth and kindness. But at home, the shadows of reality loomed larger. Her mother's exhaustion deepened, and her father's disappointment hung in the air like a thick fog. Lily felt trapped in a turbulent sea of uncertainty, doubting whether her dreams were worth the effort. Still, each visit to Mr. Thompson's room fueled her spirit. Her compassion and belief began to swell, washing away the doubt like waves on a shore. Then one fateful evening, while she read about brave knights and faraway lands, something changed. A flicker in Mr. Thompson's eye, the slight twitch in his fingers. Her heart raced. She had captured his attention. Could her kindness rip free the shackles of his coma? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Months passed, filled with laughter, tears, and the smell of freshly drawn crayons. Lily's resolve settled like an anchor, steady and unwavering. And then, one morning, the unexpected happened. As she recited a favorite story about adventure and camaraderie, Mr. Thompson's eyes fluttered wide open, confusion and wonder igniting his gaze. As he took in the room now alive with her colorful drawings, walls that had once felt cold were suddenly bursting with life. But with his awakening came new questions about wealth, about loneliness, about love. Lily, standing there with her heart racing, felt the pulse of the world shifting. What transformations awaited this remarkable bond? Would Mr. Thompson redefine his legacy, or would societal divisions pull them apart? As the community buzzed with uncertainty, one thing was clear: their stories had only just begun. As light flooded the hospital room, painting everything in hues of vibrant possibility, Mr. Thompson blinked at the young girl before him. His gaze shifted from her radiant smile to the colorful pictures adorning the walls, each a testament to the love and hope she had poured into those moments spent together. He swallowed, feeling more than just confusion. He felt a profound sense of emptiness that had loomed over him for years. Who are you?" His voice was a gravelly whisper, thick with unspoken dreams and lost time. "I'm Lily," she exclaimed, her eyes glistening. "I've been reading to you for a while now," she continued, a nervous excitement creeping into her tone. "I came to share stories about magic and hope. I thought maybe you could hear me." She took a step closer, her small hands fidgeting with the edge of her favorite book, a collection of folk tales packed with adventure. The billionaire's heart tightened as he absorbed her words. Memories of his life before the coma flooded back, interwoven with doubts and regrets. His wealth had never shielded him from loneliness. It had only amplified it. But here, in the presence of this brave little girl, it felt different, lighter somehow. I remember the sound of your voice. His eyes softened, and a faint smile creased his lips. You brought me stories. Yes. And you can tell me your stories too. There's so much we can share. The innocence in her voice rang through the room like the sweetest melody, stirring hope deep inside him. The healing began instantly. A bond forged from imagination slowly blossomed into a connection that transcended their differences. Lily filled his life with bright colors, while Mr. Thompson shared pieces of his past, his adventures in far-flung corners of the world, the lessons learned in boardrooms, and the regrets of opportunities lost in the pursuit of success. Though initially hesitant, he found himself unwinding, opening up in a way he hadn't thought possible. The warmth of Lily's spirit pierced through the stone walls he had built around himself. Laughter soon replaced silence, echoing off the sterile walls, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. Yet, as Mr. Thompson regained the strength to dream again, doubts lingered both inside him and in the whispers of the outside world. Would they accept him back? Would he be welcomed in a society built around entitlement and image? The fears tugged at him, lingering like shadows in the light. Across town, the community was abuzz with the news of his awakening. Questions fluttered through Maplewood like butterflies. What would Mr. Thompson do next? Would he change? More importantly, would he embrace the connection he felt with a little girl he had never met until now? Underneath all the noise, Lily remained steadfast. She continued to share stories, dreams, and laughter, a lighthouse shining on a rocky shore. Her presence lit a fire of hope, not just in Mr. Thompson, but in the townsfolk who watched their bond unfold. But as days turned into weeks, the darker undercurrents of their relationship began to surface. Could a little girl alone heal a billionaire's heart? And as the world began to turn its eyes toward him, would Mr. Thompson's new journey be welcomed or condemned? The moment of truth loomed like a storm on the horizon. Would Mr. Thompson step into a new light, or would fear pull him back into the shadows he'd known? His choice was on the tip of his tongue, ready to unleash a wave of possibility. Yet, deep inside, he wondered, was he truly brave enough to redefine who he was? Mr. Thompson struggled to find his footing in this new world, a world he had long ignored before slipping into darkness. The whispers of the townsfolk were swelling, a mixture of curiosity, hope, and skepticism. As he adjusted to life outside the sterile walls of the hospital, he carried Lily's laughter in his heart, but the weight of public opinion loomed larger than he anticipated. The first time he ventured back into town, Mr. Thompson felt like a ghost. Shadows of the old him loomed large, casting doubts over his every step. The familiar sights, the bakery with the sweet aroma of freshly baked bread, the park where children played merrily, triggered memories that tugged at his heart. He had lived in this town, had been part of it, yet felt like an outsider now. Lily's words echoed in his mind. You can tell me your stories too. She believed in him, in the power of connection. But what would the townspeople think? Would they see the man he was trying to become, or would they only remember the closed-off billionaire who had long been part of their community? As he walked towards his old office building, his heart raced. He caught sight of a newspaper stand. The headline struck him, "Billionaire awakens, what's next for Mr. Thompson?" The article buzzed with excitement, but the comments underneath were mixed. Some cheered for his return, hopeful for a new direction, while others questioned if he had really changed at all. The shadow of doubt wrapped around him tighter. To ease his rising anxiety, he clutched his phone, looking through the photos Lily had drawn for him. Colorful pictures of dragons and princesses, adventures in faraway lands, smiles that radiated pure joy. She had poured her heart into each stroke, hoping to draw him out from his stagnant past. "Hey, Mr. Thompson." A voice pulled him back to reality. It was Tim, a young man who had worked at the office with him. We heard you were back. How's the hospital food? He grinned, trying to mask the awkwardness hanging in the air. Not as good as your mom's stew, Mr. Thompson responded, his lips curving into an involuntary smile. The moment broke the tension, allowing a flicker of warmth to seep through his uncertainty. Come join us for coffee later. Tim added, that hopeful look in his eyes forcing Mr. Thompson to nod, albeit hesitantly. As he made his way back home, anxiety twisted in his gut. He knew he had to face not just the townspeople but himself. The journey had begun with Lily, but now it demanded he stand tall against the very fears he had buried for too long. Days turned into a routine of visits with Lily and timid steps back into the community. Each interaction, while uncomfortable, lit a small flame in him. They talked about dreams and stories, and gradually, he began to share more of himself, his fears, his regrets. The old man he once was, a far cry from the man he was trying to become. But then came the day when reality struck harder than he expected. Mr. Thompson. A voice cried out in the park, a mother holding her child by the hand. Do you really think you can change? You hurt people. Just look at what you did. In that sharp, piercing moment, the children playing in the background stilled, and Mr. Thompson's heart sank. The anger, the blame, the expectations of a community hanging heavy in the air all at once, he could feel them suffocating him. Was he to be forever defined by his past? But there, amidst the confusion, he thought of Lily standing tall and proud, ready to inspire courage through stories. Could he prove them wrong? Could he navigate this storm without retreating into the shadows once again? The memories of her laughter surged through him, and suddenly, a wave of determination washed over his fear. Maybe it starts with me trying, he whispered to himself as he faced the gathering crowd. But as he drew a breath to speak, the questions rippled through his mind. What if he stumbled? What if their prejudice was deeper than forgiveness? And that was the moment he realized he had to find out, but would they let him? Mr. Thompson stood there, heart racing and palms sweating, caught between the urge to retreat and the desperate need to step forward. The murmurs of the crowd buzzed around him like a swarm of angry bees, but Lily's laughter, bright and pure, broke through the noise. Mr. Thompson, he said aloud, his voice barely above a whisper but growing stronger with each passing second. I know I've made mistakes. I've shut you all out, and I hurt people. I can't undo the past, but I can try to be better. A small boy in the crowd fiddled with his baseball cap, glancing at his mother. The woman's grip tightened on her child's shoulder, fear mingling with curiosity in her eyes. Mr. Thompson's gaze drifted to others surrounding him, familiar faces he hadn't seen in so long. Some wore expressions of hope, while others looked skeptical. Change isn't easy, he continued, more resolute now. I've always believed that the world could run on money and power alone. But I've learned the most important thing in life is, people. Connection. I walked away from that, and I'm sorry. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Hope perhaps. Maybe these words were reaching them, even just a little. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I want to earn a place back in this community. I want to create, to support each of you like I never did before. I've been blind to my own loneliness and a fool thinking I could heal alone. Each word fell from his lips like stones into a still pond, the ripples spreading out across the crowd. Was it working? Silence hung like thick fog in the air as Mr. Thompson took a deep breath. What happened to me has helped me really see. I wish I could have learned this sooner, but I want to use what I have, my resources, to help you, to help this town thrive. Tim stepped forward, hesitantly. What do you mean, Mr. Thompson? I want to start initiatives. Support schools, fund community projects, create spaces for children to play and learn. I want to know you, your stories, and he hesitated, glancing down at the dirt beneath his feet. I want to hear your pain, too. The mother's expression softened, and the tension in the air began to ease. You really mean that? You're not just saying what we want to hear. Mr. Thompson's eyes met hers, and a flicker of hope sparked. No, I mean it. From now on, I'll be here. I want to be part of the very fabric of our community, to learn how to support one another. Their eyes searched his for sincerity. With shaky hands, Mr. Thompson reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. And you can hold me accountable. Set up meetings, call me out, tell me when I fall short. I want to listen. A small boy, emboldened by the moment, called out, "Can you help bring back the old playground?" Waves of murmurs swept through the crowd again. Yes. Mr. Thompson called, feeling lighter. Absolutely. Part of making this right is bringing joy back to our children. Finally, someone in the back cheered, others joined in slowly, and laughter broke through the apprehensive silence as more became willing to share their hopes. And just as Mr. Thompson felt a shift, a vibration of connection was emerging, a soft hand slipped into his. It was Lily. "See? You did it," she said, her grin lighting up her face. But amid the growing acceptance, a shadow loomed on the horizon. A figure stood away from the crowd, watching with fierce intensity. Mr. Thompson's heart stopped as he recognized the person. It was Jared, his former business partner, arms crossed, eyes glaring with disdain. What did he want? Would this confrontation derail everything he was trying to create? Determined to keep moving forward, Mr. Thompson focused on the warmth of the moment, but the unease lingered. Could he maintain this newfound connection when challenges arose? Would the community stay by his side in the face of old ghosts? He took a step closer, preparing for what lay ahead, aware that the real test of his transformation was only beginning. Mr. Thompson glanced back at Lily, her expression a mix of pride and encouragement. It felt like a lifeline amidst the brewing storm. But Jared's presence loomed larger in his mind, a specter from his past that threatened to cast shadows over the fragile hope he was trying to build. "Mr. Thompson," Jared's voice sliced through the murmurs. It was low but sharp, and demanded attention. The laughter and chatter faded, replaced by a thick tension. Mr. Thompson steadied himself. "What do you want, Jared?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Want?" Jared chuckled coldly, pushing through the crowd. "I want you to understand that the community you're hoping to win back is watching. They remember how you made your money and who you stepped on to get it." The crowd shifted, uneasy. Some glanced at each other, their previous warmth flickering. Mr. Thompson straightened his back, feeling every ounce of sincerity he had stored up ready to spill over. "I know I let people down. I've changed. If you think I'm just putting on a show, you're welcome to come to every meeting we set up. Watch me hold me accountable," he urged. His voice wavered slightly, but he pushed through. "This isn't about the past. It's about the future." "Future?" Jared spat. "You can't buy redemption, Thompson. You think throwing money at schools and parks will change how people feel about you? This isn't a game of Monopoly, lives are involved." Mr. Thompson inhaled deeply, feeling a wave of frustration, anger, and guilt wash over him. He remembered the positions he had put Jared in, everything the man had sacrificed while working with him. The risks that felt trivial in the pursuit of wealth had real consequences for others. "I never said it would be easy," he replied, his voice stronger now, echoing with passion. "Change takes time, and I know for some, it'll take more than just words. But I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and dig in. I won't give up." Lily squeezed his hand tighter, visibly upset by the confrontation. "You can do it. You have to," she whispered fiercely, and the belief in her voice fed Mr. Thompson's resolve. "Well, let us see how long that lasts." Jared turned to the crowd, his tone condescending. "You all might want to be careful. People like him don't change, they pretend until they get what they want." The whispers began again, and for a moment, doubt crept into Mr. Thompson's heart. He could see skepticism reflected in some faces, eyes narrowed, lips pursed. Yet he could also see glimmers of belief. He raised his hands, calling for quiet. "I know trust is not given, it's earned. I'm not asking for it without proof. But I will prove I mean what I say. With Jared's sneer cemented in his mind, Mr. Thompson realized that this was just the beginning. He had to navigate not only his own past but also the legacy of hurt that lingered within the community. Let us gather at the cafe next week, he proposed. Open dialogue, your hopes, your fears. Let us build this together. But even as he spoke, a knot tightened in his stomach. What if they rejected him? What if Jared's warning turned into a self-fulfilling prophecy? As the crowd buzzed with murmurs of agreement, Jared's shadow remained, an unforgiving reminder of the obstacles he faced. Mr. Thompson locked eyes with him, challenging yet vulnerable. Next week, then, Jared smirked, folding his arms. This will be fun to watch. With that, Mr. Thompson felt the weight of his new purpose. The struggle was only beginning, and he had to fight for every bit of trust he could gather. As the community dispersed, exchanging glances and forming small groups, Mr. Thompson pulled Lily close, her small stature grounding him. Am I crazy for doing this? He asked softly. No, you're brave, she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. But just as the hope began to build again, Mr. Thompson couldn't shake the chill that Jared's words had left behind. Would he truly be able to earn their trust? He looked ahead, pondering the challenge that lay before him, unsure if unity could ever be realized or if he was destined to always be an outsider looking in. And what unexpected truths might Jared reveal if given the chance? The following days unfolded like a tightly wound spring, each tick of time releasing tension and uncertainty. Mr. Thompson spent long hours awake at night, staring at the shadows that danced across his ceiling. Every echo of Jared's words lingered in his mind, transforming doubt into dread. He wrestled with the burden of responsibility while filling his calendar with meetings and community outreach efforts. Lily, bless her heart, stayed by his side. Each morning, she'd bring him coffee, her bright smile cutting through the heavy fog that clouded his thoughts. You're going to make it, Dad, she'd encourage, even when his smile felt forced. But she believed in him, and that alone sparked a flicker of hope inside. The cafe was bustling when Mr. Thompson arrived for the scheduled meetup. Sunlight poured through the large windows, illuminating faces that were once familiar but now felt foreign. He recognized some from his past, and each gaze made his heart race a little faster. Would they see him as a changed man? Would they still harbor resentment? As the clock ticked closer to the start, he watched the community gathering, exchanging whispers and uncertain smiles. He could feel the intensity of their skepticism looming like an overcast sky. But then he spotted a few familiar faces that he remembered from happier days, the ones he had bought coffee for, cheered on during kids' soccer games, people he once shared laughs with. Taking a deep breath, he stood and cleared his throat, the chatter fading slightly. Thank you all for coming. I know many of you have doubts about me, doubts you're perfectly entitled to. I've hurt people I cared about, and I'll never be able to undo that. But I want to work with you all. For the community. A murmur traveled across the room, and the tension rose. He locked eyes with a woman who had once been a neighbor. But why now? She questioned, her brows knitted tightly. What changed? Life does that, he began, his voice shaky. Sometimes it takes losing everything for you to wake up. I've had time to reflect and realize how precious this community is and how much I want to be a part of it again. A young man in the corner shifted, arms crossed and expression skeptical. Words are nice, Thompson, but they're just that, words. What proof do you have? He felt a surge of anger rise, but dialed it back, focusing on the challenge. I will be here, he declared, louder now. Every week. Every time you need me. I'm asking for the opportunity to demonstrate my commitment, to listen and learn. Before he could gain momentum, Jared sauntered in, looking far too comfortable. Is the wannabe politician really trying to charm us? He mocked, glancing around the room, drawing attention away from Mr. Thompson. Remember what I said about trust, folks. One person in the back shouted, "Why should we believe him?" Every head turned towards Mr. Thompson, as if waiting for a response to a riddle only the past could answer. Defiance surged through him. "Because I'll show you, I'll put my money and energy where my mouth is." He pointed to the bulletin board in the cafe. "I'll fund community projects, organize cleanups, mentor youth. Just ask me, and I'll be there." Lily's eyes sparkled with joy, but the general response was still mixed. Jared leaned back, arms crossed, laughter in his eyes. Mr. Thompson's heart sank as he met the gaze of someone who once trusted him. "I can't change the past," he said, sincerity punctuating each word. "But I want to run away from the future." The room buzzed with uneasy energy. He could feel it, the mix of hope and fear surrounding him, like waves crashing against a shore. And just when he thought he might reach them, Jared's taunts echoed louder, slicing through the moment. "Watch your back, Thompson. It's a long way to the top, and you have no clue what's waiting for you." As the tension faded back into skepticism, a silent question loomed for everyone. Could redemption be built brick by brick? Or would every step I create become another reminder of how fragile trust really is? The cafe buzzed with hushed murmurs as Mr. Thompson took his seat, the weight of skepticism hanging around him like a thick fog. He could feel eyes boring into him, each glance a reminder of past failures, a constant reminder that trust was a currency he could no longer afford. He lowered his gaze to the table, heart racing, wrestling with the desire to flee and the need to stand his ground. Just as silence began to settle like a heavy quilt, Lily's voice cut through the air. "Dad is serious." Her vibrant energy brought a smile to a few faces, even if they were tinged with doubt. She beamed at him, her faith a lifeline amid the storm of uncertainty that swirled around them. Every encouraging nod from Lily lit a tiny spark inside him, igniting an ember of resolve, but it felt fragile like glass ready to shatter. "Why not give him a chance?" Lily continued, looking around at the crowd. "You all know what he used to be: a great neighbor, a good coach. People make mistakes, but if they change, isn't that worth something?" The skeptical young man shifted in his seat, chewing on his lower lip as he considered her words. Still, Jared's mocking voice echoed in his head, a reminder of how hard it would be to change opinions long set in stone. Yet Mr. Thompson felt a flicker of hope. Maybe if he leaned into the memories, if he painted the picture of redemption vividly enough, he might carve a new path forward. "I'm here because I need to do better, no more excuses," he declared, feeling strength rise within him. He looked around the room, finding courage in the faces that had once welcomed him. "And I need you all to hold me accountable. My flaws don't define me, how I choose to rise above them does." Slowly, a man nodded, first almost imperceptibly, then with more conviction. "We remember the good you did, Thompson. But it's the bad that sticks. You've got to prove you mean it." "I get that," Mr. Thompson responded, his heart pounding. "Just give me a chance to show you. Every project I take on will be a step toward rebuilding something, our community, my life, everything I've lost. The past is a heavy burden, but I won't carry it alone anymore." Just then, a soft voice piped up from the corner, echoing Mr. Thompson's sentiments. It was an elderly woman with silver hair, someone who had shared a few laughs with him in the past. "If you're willing to change, I'd like to believe you, dear. It's never too late to start anew." The murmur of appreciation spread through the cafe, generating small nods and murmurs of agreement. It felt like the tide was beginning to shift. Still, beyond their hopeful faces, he caught Jared's glare, eyes glinting with disdain. "What a show," Jared jeered, his arms still crossed defiantly. "So you all want to follow a man who can't even follow himself? Better hold on tight, this ride is about to get bumpy." Mr. Thompson's chest tightened, but he remained anchored by the voices of support beginning to morph into an unexpected chorus. He had no choice but to stand firm. "I can't predict how this journey will play out, but I promise you it won't be empty words. I'll show you together." Then, in that small corner of the cafe, hope collided with doubt, creating an electric tension in the air. There was a glimmer of possibility, a brief moment when the community seemed to breathe in unison, weighed down by both fear and the fragile thread of hope. But in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake Jared's words off. They echoed like a warning bell. Would this fragile unity hold? As faces turned toward him, their expectations were clear. He needed to rise, and the first step felt monumental. "Let us do this," he finally said, a new light within him. As the gathering began to ignite with conversation, he could feel the thrill of possibility slipping through his fingers. But would he be able to keep it alive when the shadows of his past threatened to catch up? The moment began with a whispered promise, but with Jared lurking like a storm cloud overhead, darkness was never too far behind. Could he navigate these treacherous waters, or would the past pull him under once more? The cafe filled with a mix of laughter and hesitant conversation, a patchwork of shared hope and lingering doubts. Mr. Thompson felt the warmth of the room, a stark contrast to the cold isolation that had shrouded him for so long. But thin fingers of anxiety wormed their way into his heart as he scanned the crowd, searching for assurance amid the shifting faces. Lily sat beside him, her bright eyes radiating a fierce belief that was hard to ignore. "Dad, you're doing great. Just keep talking," she encouraged, squeezing his hand. The familiar squeeze offered a flicker of comfort, urging him to push forward. Clearing his throat, he took a deep breath, and began anew. "I know I have a long way to go, and I'm not here to make excuses. I just want to contribute." Each proclamation reinforced his purpose. "I plan to start a community garden, a place for families to come together. It's a simple idea, but I think it can lead to something beautiful." A few nods of approval came from the crowd. Hope danced in the air as several familiar faces appeared more animated, recalling the time when he organized activities for the community's children, planting seeds of unity long before his fall from grace. Yet, just when the tide began to feel victorious, a mocking laugh sliced through the laughter. "A garden? Really?" Jared leaned forward, his gaze sharp and dismissive. "What's next? A bake sale to fund your redemption?" Mr. Thompson felt the bile rise in his throat. Every fiber of his being wanted to retort, to strike back at the tight knot in Jared's throat. Instead, he clenched his fists, presenting a calm front. "I know my past, Jared. I'm not running from it. I'm learning to stand tall in its shadows." The cafe's atmosphere shifted slightly, the tension thickening like fog. Lily shot a defiant look at Jared. "That doesn't define him. Look around, you can't argue with what the community says." "Say what you want, Lily. But can you all really trust this man again?" Jared challenged the room. The cafe turned heavy with whispered uncertainty. Mr. Thompson's heart thudded in his chest, a drum signaling battle. In that moment, determination surged within him. "You're right, Jared." His voice climbed, echoing through the cafe. "Every one of you has every right to question me. I would too." He spread his arms wide, seeking connection, engagement. "Trust is earned, and I'm here to rebuild that trust, step by step. I want to be someone you can depend on. So, if I fall short, call me out. Hold me accountable." An uncertain murmur spread across the tables. Faces turned back toward him, eyes searching, weighing his sincerity against the backdrop of doubt. Then, the elderly woman with silver hair spoke again, her voice tremulous yet resolute. "If he's willing to put in the effort, maybe we should too. It starts with us believing he can change." A few others joined in, voicing their willingness to support him, and that fragile sense of unity flared into life. Mr. Thompson felt his heart swell, but a gnawing fear lingered, a fear of what lay ahead. Could he truly navigate this new chapter without making further mistakes? Just then, Lily waved to grab everyone's attention. "Let us show him we believe in second chances. Who's with me?" Among the crowd, hands began to rise, shuffling and warm with optimism. Mr. Thompson felt a smile stretch across his face, yet Jared's simmering distaste loomed like a cloud in the corner of his vision. Could he withstand the skepticism that followed? Would the clouds of doubt relent enough to give him the opportunity to bask in the light of hope? As the wave of support washed over him, he steeled himself for what would come next week. Let us start planning this garden together, he announced, excitement and trepidation intertwined. But in the back of his mind, as voices lifted around him, a chilling thought lingered: was this unity strong enough to withstand what was to come? The week that followed was a whirlwind of emotions. Mr. Thompson barely had time to collect his thoughts before he'd taken on the challenge of planning the community garden. Each day, he met with local volunteers who were eager to lend a hand, familiar faces who he hoped saw beyond his past mistakes. But the dream of creating something beautiful came with a price. His heart was a pendulum swinging between hope and anxiety. Lily was with him every step of the way. Her laughter was infectious, often breaking the seriousness of their planning sessions. She suggested colorful flower beds and vegetable patches, her excitement sparkling in the air like fireflies on a summer night. It was in these moments, surrounded by the smell of fresh soil and painted pots, that he found glimmers of hope emerge from his formerly dark thoughts. "Imagine it, Dad," she exclaimed one afternoon, her hands animated. "We'll have sunflowers that reach for the sky. And we can plant tomatoes right here." Her enthusiasm made his heart swell. Yet, Jared's words echoed endlessly in the back of his mind. Could he really be trusted? Would the community support him through this project, or would they be waiting for him to fail? On the day of the first planning meeting at the old park that would soon blossom into the garden, a mix of emotions hung in the air. Residents filed in, some newcomers, and others who had merely passed by, cocking their heads at the painted signs and chalkboards. He felt the weight of their gazes, each eye a spectrum of hope, skepticism, or neutrality. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat and stepped forward, the sun casting a warm glow around him. "Thank you all for being here. I've struggled for so long, and it's because of your support that I stand before you now." Just as he began to outline their initial tasks, there was a commotion near the back of the crowd. Jared, arms crossed and a smirk plastered on his face, waded through the group. "So this is what trust looks like. You can't just plant yourself a garden and think everything will change." His voice sliced through the air, and those words hung there like a bad smell. The crowd turned uneasily, whispers filling the space between them like a tide pulling at the shore. Mr. Thompson felt a prickle of sweat at the nape of his neck. "Jared." Lily stepped up beside him, her face a mask of determination. "You need to let people grow. Just like the flowers we're going to plant." "Grow? You think he can grow?" Pathetic. The crowd had twisted in Jared's direction, the tension palpable. Mr. Thompson clenched his fists, and his breath came in short bursts. "Enough." The word slipped out, harsh and desperate. A silence fell, his voice echoing in the void. "You're right, Jared. I have to grow and prove myself. But like any plant, I can't do it alone. If we nourish this garden together, we may find beauty in places we thought were dead soil." He let his gaze drift across the crowd, anchoring himself in their faces. Some nodded in support, while others were still uncertain. Drawing in a deep breath, he continued. "Every doubt can be a thorn, but we can turn that around. Let us plant today so we can see tomorrow." Finally, he turned his back on Jared, hoping the strength he'd gathered would mute the dissent that shadowed him. For a second, he thought he spotted flickers of light in the corner of the room, faces that believed in second chances. But then, the chill of Jared's laughter returned, echoing against his resolve. As conversations began to spark again, he felt Lily's hand find his. "Dad, let us show them," she said, her enthusiasm reigniting the fire inside him. Before they could gather their next steps, an unexpected figure raised a hand, a stranger. "I want to help too." The room fell silent as anticipation trilled through the air. "Who are you?" Mr. Thompson asked, his heart racing. The stranger gave a tentative smile, waiting for the crowd's attention. "I'm new here, but I believe in what you're trying to do. Let us make this garden happen." And just like that, hope flickered anew. But with Jared lurking in the wings, the doubts were far from over. Would this support continue to blossom, or was the ground beneath them too unstable? Each moment felt teetering on a knife's edge. What other surprises awaited them as they dug deeper into the project? With every passing day, the garden project surged ahead like a budding flower, stretching toward the sun. Maplewood was abuzz, and each step forward felt like a victory. Mr. Thompson found solace in the company of his volunteers, their laughter ringing like sweet music of encouragement. The warmth of community began to seep into his bones, and for the first time since his awakening, he felt the joy of connection. Lily was the brightest spark, her hands always covered in dirt, her cheeks flushed with exuberance. "Look, Dad. The sunflowers are taller than me." She beamed, pointing to the blossoming plants swaying gracefully in the breeze. It was moments like these that filled Mr. Thompson with undeniable hope. The garden wasn't just a patch of soil, it was a symbol of redemption, of healing. Slowly but surely, he began to rewrite the narrative of his life, one bloom, one act of kindness at a time. But lurking behind the verdant growth was Jared, always watching, always waiting for the perfect moment to unleash his doubt. On a sun-soaked Saturday, as families gathered at the park for the garden's official opening, a palpable excitement thrummed through the air. Kids clutched colorful balloons, mothers set up picnic blankets, and Mr. Thompson felt a swell of pride as he surveyed the jubilant crowd. This was the moment he had longed for, where everything could change. He stood before the crowd, the sunlight catching in his eyes, warmth spreading through his chest. "Thank you all for being here. Today, we celebrate more than just plants. We're cherishing second chances and community spirit," he declared, his voice steady, resonating with conviction. Yet, just as he began to share his vision for the future, a familiar sneer broke through the joyful atmosphere. "You think this little garden, these mere flowers, can wash away your sins?" Jared sneered, stepping into the light, drawing all eyes to him. An uneasy murmur rippled through the crowd. "Jared," Mr. Thompson started, the anxiety gripping his throat like a vice, "this isn't about me. It's about all of us. This garden is a promise not just to ourselves, but to those we've let down." Promises? Easy to say, Jared pressed on, unfazed by the clamor around him. "But don't think for a second that baking cookies and planting tomatoes will undo the hurt you've caused." Fear clenched at Mr. Thompson's heart. Attacking him may ignite the doubts he had worked so hard to quell, but as Lily squeezed his hand, determination surged within him. "I'm not asking for forgiveness or approval. I'm here to listen and create real change. I need you, every single one of you, to hold me accountable." The sincerity of his words hung in the air, and slowly, the crowd's mood shifted. Murmurs of support began to swell from behind him, echoing in a harmonious surge of understanding and shared hope. "I remember the man who coached my son's team," someone called out. "He cared about our kids. Prove you still care, and I'll stand with you." Another voice chimed in, "We've seen small acts of kindness over the past weeks. Let us give Mr. Thompson a chance." As support blossomed, Jared's face contorted with disbelief, anger spilling forth. "You're all fools. Can't you see what he really is?" Mr. Thompson took a breath and stepped forward. "I understand your anger, Jared. I've been where you are. But this isn't just about me anymore, it's about afternoons like today, where our children can grow and thrive together. Isn't that worth fighting for?" Jared paused, the fury in his eyes flickering momentarily. Then, in a moment of resolve, he turned to the crowd, whispering softly, "This is for you," letting the warmth of connection seep into the cracks of doubt that had long burdened his heart. Amidst uncertain glances, Lily shouted, "Let us plant these flowers. For every seed we put in the ground, we're making new memories." And with that, as he knelt among the crowd of eager volunteers, planting seeds in rich earth, Mr. Thompson felt the weight of judgment begin to lift like fog under the sun. They were building something new together. A vibrant tapestry woven from their stories and strength. As they planted, laughter filled the air. Even in the midst of heavy skepticism, they were creating beauty together. And though eyes would turn to Jared, catching his frown, he found a softness within him, appeal to the community rising in the fresh soil. The garden was not just a place of growth, it had become a sanctuary for healing, a testament to what they could all achieve together. In the months ahead, flowers bloomed brighter than ever. The garden flourished, just as Mr. Thompson was beginning to. As he embraced his role within the lives of others, he found his own heart unfurling alongside the leaves and blossoms. The past remained, it would always be a part of him, but it no longer held him prisoner. On the day they gathered to celebrate their first harvest, a soft wind danced through the petals, like whispers of encouragement. As they savored the sweetness of their hard-earned fruit, Mr. Thompson realized the true beauty of his journey lay in the hearts he had touched, the possibilities that bloomed in the shared stories, laughter, and love of a whole community. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Mr. Thompson took a moment to breathe it all in, feeling a warmth deeper than he ever imagined. Hope anchored him now, and with a radiant smile built on the bravery of a little girl and the strength of a community, he knew he had not just found redemption, he had discovered love and the power of connection. And as they gathered around, laughing and talking, Mr. Thompson held Lily close, cherishing the bond that had ignited it all. Moments like these felt boundless, vibrantly alive, filling him with hope. But even in the soft glow of the evening, the challenge of navigating old shadows lurked quietly. Would he be able to protect this newfound light? As the first stars began to twinkle overhead, he knew the journey was far from over. And in that beautiful, uncharted expanse, he embraced each breath, ready for whatever came next. Don't miss out on more inspiring stories like this one. You need to subscribe now to our channel to follow this journey and witness the next incredible transformations. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm, every click counts. Comment below and share your thoughts and feelings about this heartfelt story's ending. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of love and transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the hope.